Apple just quietly confirmed something that a lot of pro iPhone fans have been waiting for. And something else that a different group of people are going to absolutely hate. The iPhone 18 Pro is very likely coming in a new deep red color. Bloomberg's Mark Gurman reported Apple has been testing a deep red finish for both the Pro and Pro Max, and that alone would be a big deal. But here's the thing nobody's talking about. Apple's Pro lineup still won't come in black in 2026. Again, 2 years in a row. And if you're someone who bought a Pro specifically because it came in black, yeah, that's over now. That era is gone. And I want to talk about why that actually matters more than the red color. But first, there's one feature rumored for the 18 Pro that nobody saw coming, and if it actually ships, it could be the single best reason to upgrade in years. We'll get to that. Everything in this video is based on leaks as of April 2026. Many details stem from unverified leaks and analyst notes, and Apple has a history of refining or altering plans before launch. Official confirmation won't arrive until the expected September 2026 keynote. So treat this as the most informed picture we have right now, okay? Not gospel. Analysts are describing the iPhone 18 Pro as something of an S-year update, evolutionary rather than revolutionary in exterior design, but packed with meaningful component upgrades, which honestly might be exactly what this phone needs to be. Let me explain. So, the red. Let's be precise about this because the internet has been sloppy. Mark Gurman reports Apple is testing a deep red finish, a shade closer to burgundy than the bright product red tones the company used on standard models years ago. This is not the charity red, not the classic iPhone SE bright red. It would replace the orange of the current gen iPhone 17 Pro, which personally I thought was a bold call at the time. The orange worked, but deep red, that's a different energy. I wear a watch that costs more than your laptop energy. If finalized, this would mark the first time a Pro model is offered in red, setting it apart from previous iterations. And here's what makes this leak more credible than usual. The leaker Digital Chat Station said there's a high likelihood Apple is testing the deep red finish based on the fact that they've seen the same color in prototypes of next generation Android phones by rival brands. Some Android manufacturers have reportedly already started experimenting with similar tones. Copycat Cycle, meet Deja Vu, so Android phones copying a color that Apple hasn't even announced yet. That is a sentence I genuinely didn't expect to type today. According to leaker Instant Digital, Apple's iPhone 18 Pro models won't come in black this year. If the rumor is true, it will be the second consecutive year Apple has ditched what was arguably its most classic color option for the Pro lineup. I want to be direct about this. Black has long been a staple of Apple's color palette, symbolizing simplicity, professionalism, and timeless elegance. There's a reason it was the default. There's a reason half the people buying a Pro picked it without thinking twice. Removing it once, fine maybe. Removing it twice, that's a choice. That's Apple saying, we're done with that identity for the Pro line. Reports describe burgundy purple or coffee brown shades. Those reports don't cancel each other out. They suggest Apple is testing a family of darker, warm finishes before settling on one signature Pro color. So the direction Apple is going is clearly warmer, richer, more opinionated, less invisible in your pocket, more statement piece. But whether you like that or not is genuinely personal taste. But I'd argue Apple is reading something real here by incorporating bold colors. Apple is targeting users who value individuality and standout aesthetics, reflecting a growing trend in consumer electronics where design is used as a means of personal expression. Okay, so the body. Let's be honest. The iPhone 18 Pro models are expected to feature the same general design as the iPhone 17 Pro models, offering a triple lens rear camera system with camera plateau. The plateau is staying. The enormous camera island on the back, still there. And look, I know some people hate it, but at this point it's a design signature. You either accept it or you get a case and hide it. The leaker says the rectangular plateau design will be unchanged from last year. However, the back will feature minor adjustments to the body materials and design details. The iPhone 17 Pro had a two-tone design rather than a seamless look, and that two-tone thing bothered more people than Apple probably expected. The 18 Pro looks like it's addressing that. The launch may include a redesigned rear ceramic shield that blends more smoothly with the frame, reducing contrast for a cleaner, more seamless appearance. Small change, but the kind of thing you notice every single time you pick the phone up. Those details matter. Apple is expected to keep the titanium frame, ensuring strength while maintaining a lightweight feel, helping balance durability with everyday comfort. Good. Nobody asked them to change that. Now, this is the part that's genuinely in flux, and I think it's the most interesting design story of the whole 18 Pro cycle. Reporting from several sources has pointed to Apple moving some Face ID components under the iPhone 18 Pro's display. This will reportedly enable a dynamic island that's about 35% smaller than on iPhone 17 Pro, 35% smaller. Leaks claim Apple is working to shrink the front cutout area, reducing its width from 20.76 millimeters to 13.49 millimeters. That's roughly a 35% drop. But, and this is important, current supply chain feedback suggests an A/B testing scenario. One option retains the existing screen mold, while the other features a mini dynamic island with the Face ID receiver components positioned beneath the display. Both options are apparently still being considered by Apple, with a decision yet to come. So Apple literally hasn't decided yet, which means either version could ship. A smaller dynamic island doesn't necessarily mean any loss of function. As long as Face ID works, the dynamic island features, alerts, activity tracking, music controls can stay as they are. It's just that the dead space on the screen could be reduced. That's actually the best case scenario. Same features, less wasted screen. That would be a win for those who watch a lot of movies or play a lot of games. All right. I told you there was one feature nobody's talking about enough. This is it. The main 48 megapixel Fusion camera on both iPhone 18 Pro models is rumored to have a variable aperture, which would allow users to control the amount of light that passes through the camera's lens and reaches the sensor. Variable aperture on a phone. Let me explain why this is a bigger deal than it sounds. On a real camera, a DSLR, a mirrorless, your aperture determines two things: how much light hits the sensor and how blurry your background gets. A small aperture, sharp everything. A wide aperture, creamy background, great in low light. Right now on every iPhone, that aperture is fixed. The camera makes those decisions for you through software. A variable aperture would let iPhone users manually adjust how much light gets to the sensor, cutting down on overexposure and providing new customization options for lighting and depth of field. That's hardware control. Real hardware control, not computational photography pretending, a feature long common in professional DSLR and mirrorless cameras. Finally on a phone. Now, the honest caveat. The reason this rumor draws debate is simple. Smartphones still use smaller sensors than dedicated cameras. A variable aperture helps most when paired with a larger sensor. Samsung tried a dual aperture phone years ago, and Xiaomi used variable aperture more recently on larger sensor devices. Results depended heavily on the sensor behind the lens. So, will it work on the 18 Pro? Genuinely don't know yet, but the ambition is real. Multiple reliable sources indicate the iPhone 18 Pro models will feature the A20 Pro chip built on TSMC's first generation 2 nanometer process, a major leap from the 3 nanometer architecture used in the current A19 Pro. The shift to 2 nanometers is expected to deliver up to 15% faster processing and 30% better energy savings compared with the previous generation. 15% faster, 30% more efficient, those are real numbers, and that efficiency gain matters a lot more than the raw speed bump because it flows directly into battery life. Leaks suggest battery capacity on some Pro units could move past 5,000 million per hours, with eSIM only versions making room for slightly more. The iPhone 18 Pro Max might be just a little thicker than the current iPhone 17 Pro Max. And that extra millimeter, it's probably the battery. And honestly, I'll take it. The iPhone 18 Pro series arrives at a time when Apple is doubling down on Apple Intelligence features. The more powerful neural engine in the A20 Pro chip is expected to accelerate on-device AI processing, enabling smarter Siri interactions, enhanced photo editing, and improved privacy-focused machine learning capabilities. Translation: every AI feature Apple has been promising actually gets faster. If you've been frustrated by how slow some of those features feel on current hardware, this chip is the fix. There's something worth understanding about why the 18 Pro looks like this. Evolutionary, not revolutionary. Apple is splitting its iPhone 18 lineup, with the more expensive Pro and Fold models launching in fall 2026 and the more affordable iPhone 18 and iPhone 18e coming in spring 2027. We'll get Apple's 3 most expensive iPhones in the fall: iPhone 18 Pro, the iPhone 18 Pro Max, and the iPhone Fold, which could be upwards of $2,000. So Apple is essentially running a 2-tier launch in 2026, the premium stuff in September, the standard models later. This staggered approach is said to optimize production resources and maximize revenue from higher margin devices, which means the Pro models don't need to do the heavy lifting of being exciting for everyone. They just need to be the best phones for people who care about cameras, performance, and battery life. And by that measure, they look like they'll deliver. So who should care about the iPhone 18 Pro and who shouldn't? For consumers still using iPhone 15 Pro or older models, the rumored upgrades, particularly the camera flexibility, battery improvements, and refined front display, could represent one of the more compelling upgrade cycles in recent years. That's the honest answer. If you're on a 15 Pro or older, this is a real upgrade. New chip, better battery, potentially the best camera hardware an iPhone has ever shipped. Those with the iPhone 17 Pro Max might find the changes more incremental unless the variable aperture or foldable option strongly appeals. 17 Pro users, wait and see, unless the deep red genuinely speaks to your soul, in which case that's your call and I respect it. The no black thing is going to be a real conversation, and I think Apple knows that. 2 years in a row is a statement, whether they're building towards something, a new signature color era, or just experimenting. We'll know more by September. The one thing I'm actually watching, whether that variable aperture camera ships on both Pro models or just the Pro Max. That distinction will tell us a lot about how seriously Apple is taking it. I'm curious, are you upgrading from a Pro model this cycle or waiting to see how the Fold performs? Because that's actually the more interesting question. Drop it below. Catch you next one. Peace.